Living and breathing is a gift that most of us are not too ready to give up. We kind of hold on for life, and why wouldn't we? And we do all sorts of things to make that happen, like medical treatment and surgery, and sometimes real painful stuff, but just so we can stay alive. And we know that life is more, though, than living and breathing and eating and sleeping. We know that we want a quality of life. And that's what Jesus offers us. Jesus offers us life in the Spirit because the Spirit is alive within us. At least that's his offer, to have the Spirit alive in us that will give us some purpose, some direction, and would give us the power in life to live and to live well, that we might come to the fullness of who we want to be and we're made to be, that we might live this life well. So, Jesus called Lazarus out of the tomb, back to himself, back to this life. Lazarus, come out. And he came out. They rolled the big stone away. So there's a big stone, a big obstacle in his life, that he rolled it away. Then he called him out, and when he got out there, they had to untie him because he was all wrapped up. He was all tied up. And as we listen to this, I think it would be good if we take that kind of a symbol and look in to see what it kind of means. And ask ourselves, where is there a big obstacle or a big stone in my life? What is it in my life that ties me up in knots? Ever been tied up in knots? Yeah. I can name all sorts of stuff. I'll just mention a few. Conflicting feelings tie us up in knots, don't they? Like love and hate. Isn't it true that the people we can get maddest, most angry with are the people we love the most? Is that true? Yeah. We love them, but there's something you got to deal with. So it's like, how do you work this out? And it kind of ties us up in knots. Or trust and betrayal. We learn to trust one another, and in that trust, begin to share more with each other and kind of get relaxed until somebody betrays the trust. And then it's kind of hard to get it back. But it's all possible because the trust builds up as you get to know somebody else again. It's like, okay, let's see what we can do here. And you build it up, and the person promises they'll never do that again, and then they go ahead and don't come through on the promise. And now we got this thing of trust. So that kind of jostles us back and forth. Pick any feeling you want, and it's opposite. And it can tie us up in knots. Or we can go to worry. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but I know for certain that there are worriers right here in this room. Would I be right? Yeah. We worry about all sorts of stuff. We worry about about money. We worry about our job. Maybe losing it, maybe getting one. Maybe we worry about going to work because the people that are there, we just don't want to be around. No, they tie us up in knots, and it's like, I really can't stand the environment that I'm called to work in. So that does it too. And it can be a real obstacle to living a good life because we worry so much. Or the last one I'll mention is that of sin. Sometimes, when we sin, what we want to do is take that sin and put it in the tomb and roll the big stone in front of it because we don't want to deal with it. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't go away. It doesn't stay in the tomb. It kind of sneaks out, and it comes back at us until we ask for forgiveness. We face it and ask for forgiveness and some reconciliation. And that's what we need to do, because otherwise we carry it around, and it becomes like carrying around a big stone in our lives, it becomes a burden. We need to be forgiven and reconciled. In the gospel, we heard Jesus say to Mary, said, Mary, I am the way, I am the resurrection and the life. And whoever believes in me, even if he dies, shall live. Do you believe this? She said, yes, I do. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God. But she didn't expect him to raise Lazarus from the dead. We know that because when they started to roll the stone away, she says, oh, don't do it. It's going to smell really bad. So we know she didn't expect that. She was believing in him, even though, as far as she knew, her brother was dead and was going to stay dead. And so that question comes to us, too. Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life, and even if you die, you will live. You believe in me. And so the question comes to us, do you believe this? Do you believe, do you and I believe that God can move strongly in our lives, the Spirit of God which is alive in us, as we heard in that second reading? Do we believe that the Spirit moves strongly enough in our lives to make a definite change? Something's going to be different because I believe, because God is present in me. He can make a difference, a very practical, down-to-earth kind of a difference. And nobody can answer that except each one of us ourselves. I do have a story among many, but this is a story that was written, a letter that was written to a Franciscan priest after he gave a mission to a parish, and the story is now published in a small book. So I'm not saying anything I shouldn't say here. But this woman's name is Jerry, and she writes the priest this. She says, faith is a gift, a precious gift, and I almost lost it. You see, I'm in this wheelchair because I was hit by a drunk driver when I was 42 years old. I became angry and bitter and figured God had forgotten me. I told the priest not to bother coming by, and I had all the religious articles removed from this house. I kept to myself and became miserable and grouchy. No one wanted to come near me, not even my family. After about 10 miserable years, I woke up one morning and looked at the wall above my head and saw the crucifix. At first, I was upset. I didn't know how it got there, and I was going to have my daughter take it down. And all of a sudden, I started to cry. I looked at Jesus on that cross, said to him, Lord, other than these mangled legs of mine, I am a healthy woman. I'm probably going to be around this world for a while. I guess I'll have to learn how to be happy living in a wheelchair. A tremendous peace came over me and has grown in me ever since. Now, I'm one of the happiest people in the world. And it's been 10 years, and I know that my Jesus is always watching over me. He is everything for me. Here Jerry was sitting in the wheelchair, and her mangled legs were not cured, healed, and something changed in her. It was the belief that the Spirit was alive in her and that God offered her life where she was and could untie her from her own miserable condition that she brought on herself. Her faith opened her eyes to a new way to live. It is what God offers us, that the Spirit would be alive in our hearts to make a down-to-earth, practical difference in who we are and how we look at life. So we end with this question. Do you believe this?